This interview is for information only and should not be considered as investment advice or a recommendation to buy shares in the company featured. Welcome to this Stock Box interview.
Well, joining us again today is Jason Brewer, the CEO of Marula Mining. It's good to be catching up again, Jason. We seem to be like London buses at the moment, where we've gone a little while without speaking, and then everything's coming along at once. But that's good. How are you doing?
I'm doing great, Mark. I'm doing very good, actually. It's always good when there's plenty of news flowing. That's for sure.
Indeed. Well, let's cover some of the news. Of course, you announced the drilling program for Marula on Friday, and then an announcement today that drilling has indeed commenced. So just tell us a little bit about this drilling program. As I understand, it's funded by Q Global to the tune of about $1.35 million US. You're looking to drill 38 holes, approximately 2,900 meters of diamond drilling. So just talk us through the program, how it was planned and what you want to get out of it.
Yes, look, Mark, it's actually a very extensive exploration, resource drilling and mine planning program. So it encompasses a number of stages here. So this whole program is part of the process of our broader open pit mine development plans for the Blesberg deposit there. So as everybody knows, we're currently reprocessing some historic stockpiles, but the focus has been on the existing pegmatites, which are bearing the spodumene, the lithium mineralization. So our focus has always been transitioning into that conventional open pit, large scale mining operation. So this drilling is one of the integral parts of that. It's a diamond drilling program, as you just mentioned there, 38 holes to be completed in 2 phases, with the intention that the first 3 months, the first 20 holes, allows us to get to a maiden JORC compliant resource. That JORC compliant resource will then be used as part of the mine planning, the mine studies, which then will be submitted as part of the regulatory process to receive the larger scale mining right. And that second phase of drilling, another 18 holes to be completed over a 3-month program, will then give us greater confidence in that resource and also extend it. In parallel with that resource, like I said, we're doing a very extensive airborne geophysics study across the whole Blesberg prospecting license and across a further 1,200 square kilometers. So we're looking at some of those additional pegmatites that after several years of operations on the existing ones, they'll add further to that mine life. So that's the main gist of it. But this resource drilling program is very critical for us. It'll start to give investors a better understanding of just how big that project is and allow them to start putting some quite serious valuations on it.
Indeed. So the drilling has started. You say this is phase 1, and it will take, you say, about 3 months' time. And then at the end of that, you would hope to get a JORC compliant resource.
That's correct. So the first drilling program is on a 25 meter by 50 meter spacing. The first 20 holes have already been, obviously the drill collar locations have already been set. A number of those drill pads have already been prepared, ready for the drilling. We announced, as I said, on Friday, the actual resource drilling program. We'd already been negotiating with a short list of contractors. The final selected one had already done a lot of activity on site to verify their costs and schedulings. So they mobilized over the weekend and drilling commenced at the beginning of this week. And, the latest report from Jacques Perrol, who's our exploration manager up on site, who's project managing all of this, he's already confirmed that the first 2 holes have been completed.
Okay.
So, we're if you look at it that way, within the first few days, we're a tenth of the way through the program already. So great result. PDS Drilling, who we've appointed, very experienced, very capable. And like I said, they've been on site. They know what they're doing there.
Okay. So that's, of course, phase 1. You get to that JORC compliant resource. Phase 2, you're looking to effectively grow confidence and expand the resource as well. So, I mean, you talk there about mine planning as well. At what point does that start? Is that after you've got the initial JORC resource, you can start perhaps thinking about, I think the RNS mentioned open pit mining?
Yeah, look, we're doing that resource drilling really gives us that geological modeling greater understanding there. And it feeds through to that open pit mine design, the initial mining works programs. But at the same time, we're already looking at some of the slope stability studies, some of the groundwater studies, geohydrology, the environmental management plans. All of this stuff doesn't have to wait for that final resource, JORC compliant resource to be completed. So there are additional consultants that we're going to be engaging with and working with the mining team that they have at Q Global Commodities as well. Let's not forget they've got a very extensive mining team there that oversees all 12 of their current large-scale open pit mining operations in South Africa. So this work isn't just we're not going to sit there and, sit on our hands. We've actually got a lot of these activities working in parallel so that by the time we finish the resource drilling program, we're straight into this. We've got a number of studies that are complementary to it. So a lot of work going on in parallel. As you said, it's a $1.35 million program, roughly 26 million rand. And that's been fully funded. So we're in a very good, comfortable position from that perspective.
Indeed. I wonder if you can talk a little bit more about that funding there and how it's being funded, just the logistics of how that's working.
Yeah, as our shareholders know, we did an investment with Q Global Commodities, and that was a series of tranches of funding to be advanced against key activities, such as this very one, resource drilling program at Blesberg. We're finalising our submission to the takeover panel because obviously Q Global have the opportunity to go up to just over 50% of the company, and we need shareholder approval for this transaction. We've just released our annual accounts, so we will be holding an AGM in the very near future where all these resolutions are to be approved. So in the meantime, what is happening whilst we await those approvals, Q Global is effectively pre-advancing these funds to allow us to continue to move forward at pace. One of the challenges for Q Global is that they operate they operate from within South Africa. So any remittances of significant funds offshore requires Reserve Bank approval. And that is a process which is ongoing and they are advancing. So we didn't want to slow down. They didn't want us to slow down. So we've come up with a way that they are going to basically start funding this activity to allow us to get this resource drilling commenced, which it now has, and to allow us to complete all this other study work too.
Okay. Of course, as well as the ongoing exploration that's just been announced and started, of course, you've got the processing, haven't you, of the spodumene and the sorting of the ore there. How are things going with that process, but also importantly, discussions with the new offtake partners?
Yeah, you're about 1 or 2 RNSs ahead of yourself there, Mark, on the equipment and the processing. So I think this is something we're going to be discussing next week.
Okay.
So a lot of activity there. We've made reference, I believe, in earlier RNSs to some of the additional equipment that we're bringing to increase the processing capability. We've obviously brought in all this new mining equipment. People have seen the dozers, the excavators, the trucks, et cetera, which is great. That's really allowed us to start moving the material. We're now looking obviously at increasing our processing capabilities, the crushing, the screening, which has previously been used by mobile crushing screen equipment. We're looking for more fixed infrastructure there. So there's activities moving ahead there. And then, of course, there's the actual sorting of that. And you yourself, you obviously were in Zim and you saw some of that equipment at George Roach's Prem operations there. We've got 2 bits of equipment that we're just finalizing the acquisition of to basically come to site, which will allow us to really push ahead and increase our processing capability there. That then flows through as to the key point of your comment was on the offtake. And I was in South Africa just last week, pushing ahead with our offtake discussions, negotiations to secure a longer term arrangement up to 5 years, not life of mine, but up to 5 years of production out of Blesberg at pricing which is linked to the benchmark prices which we all see in the market these days, which is far more advantageous to us than the earlier arrangements that we had in place. So that is all ongoing. That is work which is taking up a fair bit of my time at the moment, but it's critical to the business. We've got to get fair value for our product. We were very fortunate to be able to announce independent assays confirmed that already sorted and material was running at 6.5% Li2O, which is a very high premium grade material. So to have that puts us in a very strong position.
Good stuff. And will you be heading to site to see some of the exploration work that's going on and some drilling?
Yeah, I'm actually trying to spend a bit of time here in Nairobi. There's an awful lot of announcements I've got to prepare. There's an awful lot of negotiations to do on some of the offtake. There's activities on track at the copper at Kanusi, the graphite at both Bagamoyo and Nyeri Nyeri, where actually we've had QGC and one of our directors out of London on site the past few days. So I'm trying to remain here in Nairobi for the next few weeks.
Okay.
But, I'm certainly looking forward to getting out there to Blesberg, probably late September, October, when some of this equipment that we're referring to is going to be getting to site. So once that's on site, commissioned, then I think it'll be a good time to be there to see exactly how things have changed.
Perfect. Well, thank you very much for your time today, Jason Brewer, the CEO of Marula Mining.
Thanks again, Mark. Really appreciate it.
If you enjoyed this interview, then give us a thumbs up, a like or a retweet. Subscribe to us on YouTube or follow us on Twitter and hit that notification bell to be the first to know when we release new content. There's loads of great content on our website too, across all our programs at stockboxmedia.com. Thank you for watching.